Welcome to DC. You know we're down at the USA Cup. You're taking it slightly. I'm taking it slightly. Now how you thought I thought you won't be right back. Well, we gon' be right here. We gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC.
Welcome back to Owning the Huddle podcast. I am Deuce. We got DT in teacher mode tonight. We got Breeze in the building, the Tutty defender, and we got CeeLo in the building. Man, what's good, fellas?
I'm here, man. We here.
It's off season. Super Bowl time.
Pro Bowl time first. What you mean? Pro Bowl time first.
We do got a Pro Bowl, but
all hail the Pro Bowl.
So
okay.
Speaking of the Pro Bowl. Congratulations to Major Tutty on making his first ever Pro Bowl. We are extremely proud for Major Tutty. Breeze, how do you feel about Major Tutty making it to the Pro Bowl?
Congrats to Tutty, man. He's 1 for 1 on Pro Bowls. You know, shout out Major Tutty, man. Shout out to Major Tutty.
DT, Major Tutty has been flawless. He got enough fan votes to get to the Pro Bowl. Looks like he's going to be with us for a while, man. How you feeling about Tutty?
Man, look, like I said, when they revealed him and stuff like that, I mean, he's not bad. I mean, he's not he's not really for us. He's more for like the new generation, things like that. He still honors the Hogs, things like that. I like Tutty, man. You know, he got a little weird walk to him. You know, it's all good though, man. But hey, look, he represented us in the Pro Bowl with Allen and them boys, so we're gonna see Major Tutty on Sunday, man.
Hey, so CeeLo, do you think the Nationals going to invite him for one of the president's races this year?
Hey, if they do, he'll never win. He'll never win. Because I mean, you know, he can't with that belly. You know, you can't really. Can you do them high knees? You know what I mean? It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough race.
Major Tutty, man. It's cool, man. You know what I'm saying? His shirt looked a little better in that picture that Bostu's posted that Breeze was talking about earlier. We don't got his bags packed for the Pro Bowl. But they did the revealing of the making of Tutty a couple of days ago. That was pretty cool. But the drawing of Tutty looked it was fire. I'm like, man, what happened to that dude? Like, take the helmet off because that Tutty was fire. Yeah, man, he had the tip, he had the mohawk going. I'm like, man, I like this Tutty. So yeah, I don't know what happened, man. They need to get rid of that helmet. But congratulations to Major Tutty on making his first Pro Bowl.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!
All right, Breeze, Championship Sunday. We have the Super Bowl set. It's going to be Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles versus Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's do the NFC game first. Give us your thoughts on how that game played out.
Whew. It got ugly fast. The 49ers, they started the game, you know, ready to fight, and then Brock Purdy got hurt, and then Josh Johnson got hurt, and they literally didn't have a quarterback. And then they put Brock Purdy back in the game with what we now know was a torn ligament in his elbow. He couldn't throw the ball. It was defense tried, but ultimately it was all bad.
DT, that kind of reminded me of the body bag game. Remember the body bag game? With the Redskins and like Brian Mitchell, they was had to come in.
I probably don't get thought about that.
You know?
I thought about that, man. But I heard about it.
You pops up about the body bag game.
And you know about the body bag game.
But that was like, man, to be an NFC Championship game, man. I do want to talk about like having Josh Johnson and as the backup. Do you think Cal was kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like arrogant in that role, or do you think he had any other choice to go with someone else during the season? Because I think he picked up Josh Johnson right around the time that Purdy became the starter.
Well, that's actually a good question, but I also think you gotta look at who kind of been in the system a little bit longer and who was playing fairly well. I think Purdy, he was playing well in that system, things like that. Now, when it came to Sunday, you can see a clear difference. You're not going to light the world on fire when you're literally like the fourth quarterback coming off the bench. And nobody expected Brock Purdy to get hurt early in the game, things like that, to the point where he couldn't even throw when he had to come back in the game. But, there was some things that it kind of prevented, but they were trying to do as much as they can with Josh Johnson till he got hurt. I think a bigger conversation needs to be had about not having a third quarterback on your roster. This apparently it's a rule where like you only have two guys on the roster on like game day, thing like that, and majority
you only dress two.
You only dress two. So I think there has to be some type of change, man. I mean, I really felt like the 49ers were truly at a disadvantage, although it'll been 5 quarterbacks, but you got to get somebody that's able to throw the ball. I mean, like that would really kill the 49ers. They kind of played into the Eagles' way of winning. And man, it was a tough game to watch. I hated how they lost, not only on offense, but on defense, a lot of mistakes, but Eagles in the Super Bowl, man.
Yeah, man, you talking about some Georgia backside reverse from Remember the Titans. That's what they was out that joint running. Then they do like a triple reverse at one point when they
like negative 20 yards.
They threw the ball. They threw the ball 4 times. I think 4 times in the second half. All of them were screens. And I think 2 of them got completed. Like it was bad, bro. Mind you, they were losing the entire time.
That's crazy, man. I mean, and in a game like that, Cito, like, what do you expect? Like, you don't prepare for that. You don't run plays with CMC. I mean, it actually even looked like CMC didn't want to go in at quarterback. You know what I mean? So, like, I mean, what do you take from this game if you're San Francisco?
Nothing, man. Just the football guys was not with you today. It was a tough. I mean, I don't know. What do you do? You don't prepare. You don't prepare for that. You don't prepare for your 4th string quarterback outside of a few plays here and there in practice. So I don't blame anybody for that, man. That's just football. That's the worst part about football, but it's football. So I would be very proud if I was a 49ers, player. It just wasn't your time. Tough way to lose. That's a very talented football team. But that's just how it happens sometimes. Nobody's fault. I mean, literally, like no one's fault, man. You just don't prepare for stuff like you don't have time to prepare for stuff like that. All you worried about is your game plan against the best team in the NFC, other NFC team. And you just worried about that. You ain't worried about the contingencies outside of the reasonable stuff. So yeah.
I think that's why a lot of teams like try to keep like a tight end or receiver that has at the very least like high school quarterback. They can at least throw the ball, like in case of any emergency and stuff like that. But yeah, like CeeLo said, like you don't plan or prepare for your 4th and 5th quarterbacks to have to play in the NFC Championship game.
What about Navy? Like Navy runs like 58 out of 60 running plays, and they be winning, right? So, I mean,
triple option dynasty.
oh man, that was crazy, man. All right, let's go to the AFC.
I like that song.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, like he's that guy, man. Like, let's start back. Let's go back with Breeze, man. What's your take from that game?
Man, the AFC Championship game. I wish that could have been the Super Bowl. I don't think the Super Bowl will match up to what that game was. Like it was competitive throughout. I kind of hate the way it ended. But those are two very evenly matched teams, and when they play at this point, it's a rivalry now, like a personal rivalry. And when they play, they come in to hit each other. They come in to beat each other up. So it was a great game. A great game.
DT, when you saw what Patrick Mahomes was able to do in this game with, of course, the injury that he had, and I'm quite sure they shot him up all week, bro. I'm quite sure they shot him up all week, and it really only lasted, a quarter and a half before he started favoring it. That performance that he put on, like, it's like every time you see this dude, he just amazes you.
Man, I mean, I was at work talking about it today. Like, the brother literally playing on a high ankle sprain with two healthy wide receivers and still got his team the dub against a Bengals team that's had his number at least. Like, they were 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes said, "You're not going to get me today." And I think we are truly witnessing greatness at probably fastest at the youngest age I ever seen. I mean, to me, he is what we truly wanted Aaron Rodgers to be. Like, having home. This dude has not played a home playoff game yet. I mean, like, this dude is just dominating the AFC. Everybody did all that mess in the offseason. Everybody, all these transactions, all these big trades, all these quarterback signings. And guess who still had to host the AFC Championship game? Guess who still won it? Guess who said you have to come through me? And that was Patrick Mahomes with no Tyreek Hill. With no Tyreek Hill, man. I mean, Breeze.
No Clyde. It was a lair, man.
Go.
Dude, different, man. Dude is different.
So, CeeLo, oh man, like this dude, like last week. So this is the argument with some Mahomes haters, right? And most of the Mahomes haters is in the AFC North, right? So, when you see the things that this guy has been doing for like 3 straight years, right? We know he played baseball. We know he played shortstop. The passes that he makes, they call it luck. But at some point, when you continue to make these passes over and over and over again at a high rate, at a high completion rate, like it becomes skill at some point, right?
I mean, I think so. I think about Mahomes as like a dude that just the game seems so slow to him. He makes it look easy. Like he's out there flinging the ball around. Like I don't think you put his tape up for like a 5-year-old or 10-year-old, say, hey, do what he does. Like that's not what you want to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you want, and I'm not saying he has bad mechanics. It's just it works for him. He throws off platform. He throws off balance. He does not have good foot placement. I mean, it's not something that makes any sense, for like the hardcore, professional football or football player, period. So to me, that's what makes him different. Like him, guys like Aaron Rodgers, like DT said, I think Aaron, this was to at least to me, this is what I saw from Aaron Rodgers. I mean, when Aaron Rodgers finally got his chance after Brett Favre left, I was like, oh my goodness, same thing. Sidearm, off balance. He would run a little bit because he's not super athletic, but he knew like when to run, when not to run. Remember how he used to always hike the ball real quick because it get you on 12
Mhm.
men on the field. Little things like that. I'm like, yo, this dude is different. That's kind of what I see from Mahomes. I think just Mahomes is just, you know, the game is different, a little different now. Like you can't even freaking touch anybody anymore, and the quarterbacks are protected. So you know, I feel like it's a little bit more favorable to Mahomes' era. But man, this dude is special. I had him in August going to I'm going to have him going to the Super Bowl every year. I don't care unless he's on IR. That's my pick. That's my pick.
I mean, it makes sure, man. And in the Super Bowl, not last year, but the year before last, when all they linemen went out.
Yep.
Like we
almost won that.
Yeah, like we say, yeah, they lost that because of the offensive lineman. Yeah, that's kind of true. But the receivers dropped a whole rack of passes that was on the money. I mean, this dude was running for his life. Remember the John? He was diving.
He was in the air.
It was in the air and threw it, and it was accurate. It was
on target.
On target. It was accurate. It hit Tyreek Hill right in his
face.
hands. Like that throw was crazy. And you look at Tyreek Hill, you like, I get it, bro. Like I can't even get mad at you. Like I can't, because it's no way that pass is supposed to get to you. It's no way, huh?
Yeah, he's different, bro. I don't know what else to say. I don't know.
He was picked with number 11. Like
that is an alien, man.
Everybody remember, like DT. Remember when Tyreek left for Miami? Everybody was like, "Oh, it's gonna be different now." Oh yeah, that's not the same team. Yeah, right.
All right.
Man threw for 5,000 yards, man. He threw for 5,000 yards without Tyreek Hill.
And was it like 40 touchdowns? Man, it's crazy, man. It's just
dude is
he's an alien, man. Dude is an alien.
It's just it's some people in major sports when you look at them, and I kind of feel that way like about Mike Trout and baseball. Like people like that is just they just like better than everybody. Like they're just better than everybody, and you really can't rank them. It's like Mike Trout or Patrick Mahomes, and then you can start your 1, 2, 3 or whatever. But them dudes is just like better than everybody. They're just elite at everything that they do.
You can't stop it.
And you just
like
this dude had 26 seconds left.
Like thank goodness that football requires his teammates to play a role too. But like in basketball, like to me, like I compare like Pat Mahomes to like Steph Curry, and in basketball, Steph Curry can score 60 points and his team is going to win. Like Patrick Mahomes literally needs the people around him to do their part as well. But
right.
like, dude is
right. It's a good question though. Like, how do you defend that? I mean, seriously, like, do you play man? Do you spy him? Like, I mean, and then he has probably the best tight end in football. Now that Gronk's gone, you know what I'm saying? One of the top 2 or 3. So it's like, how do you really? I mean, how do you actually try to defend it? You know it's coming, right? You know it's coming. They about to start changing the rules. They about to start changing the rules. No more sidearm passes.
Right. Quarterback must have both feet on the ground.
Bro, I'm telling you know it's coming. It's gonna be some stupid.
Because when he had like 26 seconds left, I was like, that's too much time. Like that's you punt the that's too much time, man. We seen it last year, but that just goes to show you that that game last year, Josh Allen was invited to that game, right? He was invited to that game.
All about that game. Like they equaled, I forget what game it was, but like they equaled another team's total stat line in like 2 drives, bro. Like, it was crazy, dog. Like,
and it kind of shows you how far behind the NFC is when it comes to like quarterback play. It's different. No disrespect to the guys, but it's like it's night and day.
I've said it, man. And it's like when you watching going up against the Chiefs, your defense has to play sound football, and your quarterback has to match him. It's no ifs, ands about it, bro. Yeah. Like, you think what Josh Allen did, even he did that last year in that magical game, and he still lost.
Still lost.
heartbreaking.
I mean, like, bro.
If I take all what Josh Allen did and I show somebody those those replays, right? I show them, put on YouTube those last 3 possessions from Josh Allen, and I show it to somebody that don't know nothing, don't know about the game, don't know what happened. 10 out of 10 times they will say he won that game.
Yep.
10 out of 10 times people will say he won that game. Nah, it's this dude named Patrick Mahomes. It's this alien dude, right? It's this football god named alien named Patrick Mahomes that was there that day. Even on one leg, he's better than most of the quarterbacks in the NFL. One leg.
High ankle sprain. You know how painful that is?
NBA players miss like 6 weeks with high ankle sprains, bro.
Bro, high ankle? Not a like a rolled ankle. Hot, man.
Where's Patrick Mahomes? Where we know what Patrick Mahomes is, but where's one leg Patrick Mahomes on your list?
Still top 15, top 10.
Yep. He probably throwing for 3,500 yards.
I'm about
He
to
don't
tweet
need-
this, bro.
He don't need his lower body, bro. Like Patrick Mahomes is the one quarterback, one of the few quarterbacks where when you talk about, we do this a lot with the Commanders, we talk about arm talent, right? He's one of the few quarterbacks where you can say arm talent and that his arm talent is so elite is not even the whatever's above elite. What's the step above elite? Like his arm talent is it's so
Alien.
that it makes a difference.
I think
Go ahead.
you're right. I was thinking of what do you think all the quarterbacks with like arm talent, like that you know, some guys need the perfect platform, they need to get the torque in the lower body. Like you got that, and then you got Mahomes and you got Vic and you got maybe Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. Like you got a couple, 3, 4 that like flings it on their wrist, and it's just, it's ridiculous. I think it's so rare, man. I see why offensive guys get like enamored when they see that on film or in a combine. Like, oh, look at that. You know what I mean? I can understand now because you see Mahomes, which is like the rarity, but that's not, it's hard to replicate that. Yeah.
It's crazy, man, talking about that guy. It's crazy. And I got to see that dude. And I have to see, like, that's a game where I would go to their city just to watch them play. They don't even have to play our team. Like, I have to see him play, like, before it's over. I don't know the next time we play Kansas City, that's probably going to be an L. But wherever they are, I got to be there to watch that guy. They play him in the preseason.
But are they going to beat this Philly team, though?
That's what we getting at next. Like, you can start it off, Breeze. Are they? It is Patty Mahomes, man.
The receivers, you got to change the ticket too. But the receivers, if they play, they got 2 weeks to get ready and prepared. Yes, I'm gonna say yes because I'm not picking an NFC East team that's not wearing burgundy to win the Super Bowl. Not gonna
Facts.
do it. I don't care. Sorry, don't care. But it's gonna be a great game, and I believe the Eagles are betting favorites right now. So my money's on the Chiefs, but it's gonna be one of them. I hope it's gonna be one of them.
You got your bearings together, yes, CeeLo?
So, man, Philly. All right, objectively speaking, Philly good, bro. Like, Philly is good, man. They're healthy, and that's the part that makes this tricky. I mean, I know Jalen Hurts is a little banged up, but man, they're healthy. Their defense is better than the Bengals defense, if you want to look at it that way. So if you look at it that way, you at least can maybe contain the way the Bengals did, right? Kind of contain what Patrick Mahomes can do. But they got, I think that Eagles team is a different offense. It's a more dynamic offense. And can the Kansas City Chiefs defense keep up with that? That's going to be the question. It's not going to be about Mahomes, and it's going to be about can the Chiefs defense keep up with what Jalen Hurts and them cats can do. San Francisco did a good job, even without a starting quarterback. That defense, that was the best game Ward had for San Francisco. I think I've seen him play ever. Like, he was fantastic. Now
that's the one that's up for a contract too, right?
Yep, for a
That's
contract.
number one. Yeah.
But can the Chiefs? But can the Chiefs do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, can the Chiefs do that? I don't know, man. That's the question. So it's not about. Mahomes can put up 40 points on. I'm not too worried about that. But it's that Chiefs defense I'm worried about, bro. Because that Eagles offense is dynamite.
What you think, DT? Like, I think the defense kind of helped them win that game. I think it was more defense really than Mahomes yesterday. Do you think that defense can sustain against the Eagles?
I think they can. From Steve Spagnuolo's point of view, has a lot of experience coaching up that defense and things like that. They were throwing a lot of different looks at the Bengals yesterday. They were trying to seek that linebacker around and putting Chris Jones at defensive end at certain times. Frank Clark do some stunts and things like that. So their defense played good, especially. I didn't even know that they invested a lot in the secondary. Like, 3 of their guys were rookies, including Joshua Williams, guy from Fayetteville State. Shout out PIAA right there. But it's gonna be a challenge for them, because I know I'm not trying to be very past-like person, but I remember correctly the last time the Eagles played Kansas City won. They put up about 42 points, but that was one of Jalen Hurts' best games as a passer. And they didn't even have A.J. Brown and don't even have the same running game like they did last year. So this is going to be a challenge for this Chief defense, not only for them for being quick strike, but Philadelphia, you see they'll have them long, breathtaking drives that take about 8 to 9 minutes. Can that defense make enough plays to get the ball back for Mahomes? I think that's going to be the biggest factor in this Super Bowl coming out.
Cool. We're not going to do predictions and scores right now. We can wait till next week. We do got the Pro Bowl coming up. I really haven't even really looked into the Pro Bowl to see exactly.
Major Teddy, don't matter. Major Teddy, he in there.
Yeah. I wonder what they're going to have him doing. Maybe he'll be walking around with McLaurin or something. Doing his famous 3-point stance.
Hi, I'm Christian Miles, native Washingtonian and real estate agent servicing the Washington metropolitan area. I started my career as an investor and later transitioned to the residential side. I really wanted to leave the investor side because I wanted to connect with people. Building relationships is important to me. I understand the buying and selling process can be challenging. I get it. I've been there. I'm a mom, wife, friend, and neighbor. I absolutely love helping families and connecting with people. Going through the home buying and selling process is stressful enough. When working with me, I make it fun. As a realtor, I think it's important to be able to connect with you. Every detail is important, no matter how small. Let me take care of the heavy lifting while you focus on the joys of finding a new home. Something I live by, people may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. With me, it's an experience.
So Eric Bieniemy, Ian Rappaport tweeted out the report that the Commanders requested permission. I think it was Friday or Saturday to permission to interview Eric Bieniemy for the offensive coordinator job. I think a couple of days before that, I don't remember who tweeted it, but about Anthony Lynn coming in for being the offensive coordinator. Y'all know since Scott Turner's been fired, I've been on this Eric Bieniemy, like, has been my top choice. I think it makes too much sense. But Breeze, what do you feel about these two candidates?
I like both of them. I mean, to be honest, had you asked me this a week ago, I wouldn't even have thought either one of them would have legitimately considered coming here. But the more I think about it, especially for Eric Bieniemy, it really does make a lot of sense. And if I'm not mistaken, Eric Bieniemy's contract is up after this season as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense the more I think about it, and I think he will actually, whether it's here or not, I don't know, but I think he will actually look to try to move on from Kansas City because he's kind of in Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes' shadow in Kansas City, and you know the knock on him is, I mean, yeah, he's the offensive coordinator, but he doesn't call plays and all that kind of stuff. So for him looking to elevate, I think he would have to kind of move out of that shadow, and why not get a 1 year try it, rental here in DC and see, if you can make something shake.
So we kind of know the story about Bieniemy and how, from the rumors, right? We don't know exactly what goes on in those meetings.
Right.
DT about Bieniemy, why he hasn't been able to get a job. But when and you could talk about Bieniemy too, but when it comes to Anthony Lynn, I mean, he had his play calling taken in Detroit. Like is that something for us to be concerned about when it comes to Anthony Lynn?
I mean, not to me. I get why people would be concerned why you get your play calling duty stripped away from you, but I think that at times that happens not just in certain places to certain someone, but it happens everywhere. So I mean, I can't just look at one time he gets his opportunity stripped to him and just say like, oh, he's a bad play caller. Because I gotta go through his resume. I think Anthony Lynn is also a good candidate. I think listening to the past couple other podcasters and things about him, I think he's going to be having strong consideration as well. And also consider this too. When guys, they kind of fall back on, they have bad stretches as OCs or other things. What do? They go to guys that are established and they try to regroup and they try to relearn some things to try to add to their game. I think him going to San Francisco and learning with Kyle Shanahan, we all know how people are with Kyle Shanahan, but at the end of the day, he is one of the most innovative minds in the NFL when it comes to offensive play calling. So I think him working with Kyle can help resurrect his career and be a good offensive play caller. I think I looked at a couple of games when he was with the Buffalo Bills, and they had a top ranked run offense. Had a Sean McCoy, and Tyrod Taylor was quarterback, and he was throwing that pill around. So I would consider it, especially for the way we want to be. Want to be a run dominant team, but be able to hit you with play action.
Quick note: the New York Giants has the slowest wide receiver room in the NFL. FYI, if y'all ain't some news for y'all, if y'all ain't know that. CeeLo, with Bieniemy, I think is a good move, man. I think he can be able to come here and be able to show off his talents that a lot of people doubt that he has. He'll have full control over the offense, but I also think that regardless of any offensive coordinator we bring in, they're just not coming by themselves. So if we do hire someone from the outside, there's probably going to be more shakeups. And I wonder where Ken Zampese was going to fit in if someone is coming in with some, because more than likely, usually they want to come with their own quarterbacks coach, right? Especially if they're on the offensive side. That's usually how this works. And maybe wide receiver coach too. So I'm really kind of like Coach Breeze, you know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out how that's, how that's going to work.
Yeah, it's a good point. Ken Zampese, I guess, we added him along with Scott Turner. I think Bieniemy may have his own staff as well. Being a running backs coach for a long time, he may prefer to take over that responsibility as well, or not. It just depends on how he looks at it. My issue here is not issue, but question is how much autonomy will he have in his own staff, offensive, coaching staff in total. I think that's very important for what they want to instill. I think there's a way to coach and there's a way to instill certain principles, and I think that's been Eric Bieniemy's most his biggest attribute, apparently, he's a good teacher. So he translates very well to players, and they enjoy his instruction. I think that may require a different approach for some of the skill. I know we've had our running backs coach here for a while, so I'm curious about stuff like that. But and then Anthony Lynn, I think DT already kind of pointed it out. He's made a couple of stops ever since his Chargers head coach debut, but he's had a very promising career and track record. So I don't know if he will require as much, let's say, a staffing change as maybe an Eric Bieniemy. I feel like Eric Bieniemy is kind of at a level where he may require some things that other coaches or other offensive coaches may not. So I'm curious to your point, Deuce, if those changes will be allowed if they do come here. My only overall question with either hire, is our competition. We're going to be competing against a lot of other teams that need offensive coordinators and building their staff, and can we compete with that? That's my overall question as well. Oh, you on mute.
Let's talk about that. Breeze, where do you rank our OC job compared to the rest? Because I kind of look at ours as when we're talking about head coaches that fired their OCs, I look at them kind of like us outside of the ownership issue, right? Where the head coach is really on the hot seat. You think about Staley. Of course, he just hired Kellen Moore, but he's on the hot seat. I mean, he was pretty much almost out of there. You think about Harbaugh. Harbaugh's on the hot seat. Like CeeLo had brought up in some pods a couple times ago, I think Lamar going to play chess, right? I think he's going to sign the tag, have the surgery, and let's run it back next February. So, but all of the other jobs, which I think is kind of more intriguing, are the ones that need head coaches that's going to be bringing in their own staffs because there's more stability there. They still can come in and be the coordinators and such. So when you look at our job, do you think that job, our job, how enticing do you think our job is?
Honestly, it depends on who the candidate is and what that particular candidate is looking for.
Makes sense.
Like you said, we do already have an established head coach who, has publicly stated what he wants the offense to look like, whether that's what the coordinator
2-1, baby.
1.
whether that's what the coordinator wants to actually do is a completely different conversation. And I hope for everybody's sake that's not it. But it's like you do have that, like him stating publicly, like, I want to run the ball. I want to run the ball a lot. And I mean, you look at a lot of the candidates that they've publicly stated that they've interviewed. A lot of these aren't necessarily run heavy dudes as far as their coaches, what they coach. You know what I mean? It's tough. That's a tough one to answer. Like I said, I think it's really on a case by case basis because you have guys like that will be looking for an opportunity or a shot to prove themselves, kind of like Eric Bieniemy, or even some of the younger guys like Thomas Brown and some of those guys that are looking to move up and maybe just need an opportunity to try and prove it. And then you have some guys that are like, this may be their last shot, like an Anthony Lynn or Greg Roman and some of the other Pat Shermer, some of those guys. So it just kind of depends on the case by case basis for real. In my opinion.
Yeah, DT, it's same question to you, man. Like, where do you think we rank? And that like a lot of people say, Mayhew was the one that kind of referenced the 2-1, and Ron's probably not the one that's going to correct it, but Mayhew heard that from somewhere. Like he was in some meeting and he heard 2-1 somewhere. Maybe he got it mixed up and thought they said 1-2 or 1-2. I don't know, but he heard it somewhere. But DT, do you think how intriguing you think this job is?
I think this job is up there on wherever people don't see it as that. Just looking at the teams that are also searching for offensive coordinator, you will have Baltimore, you will have Tennessee, you will have the Buccaneers, you will have Washington, and I'm probably missing some other teams and things like that.
Dallas,
probably.
Dallas and Texans. Well, we all know that the Texans, they are going to be a rebuilding team, so they still trying to piece their way back.
And they're going to need a whole staff too.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah. And if it's D'Amico, he's probably going to bring somebody from there.
Yeah. So if we're just looking at the ones that are like competitive and they can get into playoffs, or they are playoff contending team and they're trying to get some fresh blood. If we're looking at Baltimore, I think Baltimore is going to be interesting because it's all going to be dependent on Lamar Jackson's situation. Either they tag him or they give him his bread or he's going to be gone. Because in all honest opinion, we all know that if we look at Lamar Jackson not on the Ravens, like what's going to make you like other than Mark Andrews and probably Dobbins, what's going to make you go there and be like, I can do something there? You know, you look
at his face though. He got the face.
He looked disgusting.
Like you see it with you know, they got the guys playing other quarterbacks in that offense. Like it does not look good. Tampa Bay's interesting. They have some pieces. I just felt like a lot of things was injury wise, things like that. They might be a little bit hot. Tennessee, it's some question marks. You know, Derrick Henry, he's starting to get up there in age with the carries and things like that. What do you do with quarterback? Do you bring Tannehill back, or you want how far do you think Malik Willis really is?
Obviously, it's not Willis. Like,
oh man, you know, I'm just looking at these spots, man. I think Washington they have the skill position that can be top 5. They have 2 good running backs that can get 1,000 yards and they can grind games out. I just think, you know, offensive line could be better, but the quarterback has been the biggest question for the past couple of seasons. Will the offensive coordinator have a say in what quarterback that he wants, or is he willing to give Sam Howell a shot to be there? I think that's where the question lies.
Is it all about the quarterback, CeeLo? Yes.
I think it's a big part of it. I mean, does Eric, for example, want to come in wherever he goes and develop a guy? That's a good question. Is he a quarterback guy? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if he is. I know what they did with Alex Smith. Fantastic. We know about Patrick Mahomes. Fantastic. So is that something he's interested in? I think this Kellen Moore movement made the Cowboys probably the most attractive job, in my opinion, in the league. If we're thinking objectively, right? I can't stand them, but objectively, you got a fully ready-made system in place. They just got to obviously add a little bit to the wide receiver core, and they need a healthy running back room now that Tony Pollard's going to be out for a little while. So,
I know they said McCarthy is going to be calling plays too. So
what's that?
They say McCarthy is going to be calling plays.
Oh well, then that makes it different.
He gonna get fat. Yeah, if they come out like 3-3 or something, he gonna get fat. You know?
I just don't want the enemy to go there. Exactly. I don't want the enemy to go to Dallas, man.
I don't think he would go to another situation where he's not the play caller though.
Yeah, and I agree. And maybe if he gets like an interview, you have to believe. The other thing about Bieniemy, man, is like, is he kind of like at the point where he's, man, if I don't get a head coach job, I don't really want no other job. I don't mind signing another 1-year deal. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's one of those guys that it's kind of weird. Where does he want to do a lateral just because he wants to get out from under Andy Reid, or is he more interested in just winning and continuing to what he's comfortable at? It just depends on what his goals are, and I don't think anyone really knows outside of being a head coach. He definitely wants to be a head coach. But anyway, I think our situation is, like to everyone's point, I think it's a pretty good situation. My only concern, like you already said, Deuce, is the uncertainty at ownership, and I think other organizations, generally speaking, have a better reputation. So you can kind of make some decisions based on that. Like Tennessee, as all the question marks are legit, but that's a world-class organization, most people think. Same thing with Baltimore, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't built up our reputation yet, I think. So we're trying to get there.
And I'll say this too. I was thinking about this when you guys were talking. If I was Eric Bieniemy and knowing that I want to be an OC and prove that I can be a great play caller, I would probably want to go to a team where, hey, they already got the tools and stuff for me to be successful. Now, I might be a couple pieces away, either offensive line or probably quarterback. I can go to a team like the Dallas Cowboys, the Buccaneers, or even the Washington Commanders and do some things out there and show on tape that, hey, Andy Reid may be one of the great offensive minds, but I'm not that far off. Like I've been helping Andy Reid the past couple of years. It just doesn't look like that. And I think for him, that would be a big resume boost for him. I would not be shocked, though. That would be his top 3 choices down the line if he's looking to be an OC.
Yeah, but to CeeLo's point, though, with Eric being like the knock on Eric Bieniemy being that he doesn't call plays, but he wants to be a head coach. If he goes somewhere as a coordinator where he calls plays and falls flat on his face, them head coaching opportunities are gone. Like, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that was Andy and Pat the whole time." Like that, like those opportunities will be gone. So he's in a very like weird situation, kind of. He's gonna have to gamble and bet on himself, but he's gonna be walking a fine line.
And it's weird because I guess he's been signing these 1-year deals with Kansas
Mhm.
City. So it's almost like he coaches, they do well. He goes to interviews, he doesn't get the job, and he goes back to like it's almost like he has a fallback plan. And I'm just curious if is he interviewing only for head coaching? Because he's been interviewing for head coaching position. I don't even know if he's interviewed for an OC position yet. I'm not sure.
Didn't he interview for Tennessee job?
I don't know. I thought he just
Yeah.
had. I thought he
Let
did
me
the
check.
Texans job for sure, head coach.
I know he did the Texans head coach. I thought
But
I could be
anyway,
wrong.
I don't even know if he interviewed for Denver. So I don't know. I'm just curious if I just don't know what his goals are because it's a weird situation and maybe he's like, maybe I ain't that good of an OC by myself. I just want to be a head coach and let somebody else work for me. And you know what I mean? Because some guys think of themselves as a kind of a CEO type or whatever, and they may want to continue to kind of do that. I don't know. It's interesting, but I think we'll be lucky to have Eric Bieniemy, period.
All right, so they said they request for an interview for him.
So they requested it.
This is Shefty. Irving has been requested to interview for the Ravens, the Colts, and the Titans OC job. Well, the Colts head coach job, the Titans OC job, and the Ravens OC job. And of course, I was reported was for the OC job. Also.
So question, and do you guys, when they say Lamar Jackson is going to be a part of the OC selection, what does that mean?
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Like, bro, are you gonna sign an extension? Like, let's figure that out first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have him pick the corner and then he gonna leave and go pick somebody else like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I love Scott Turner, man. Hire him. I'm out. Like, my bad, Scott. That was a stray. You did not need to catch. I'm sorry, bro. I apologize,
Scott catching sprays on
He
the
did not need to catch that stray, man. I'm sorry.
Almost 7 straight shows talking about Scott Turner at least once.
My bad.
Go ahead, DT. What you about to say?
Yeah, I get what CeeLo's saying. There's no way I'm gonna say, well, my quarterback is gonna be involved in the OC, and y'all not even paying the brother yet. Like, he ain't got no ties to y'all really right now. Like, come on. Like, I would have looked at Harbaugh and said, "Oh yeah, Lamar's gonna tell us what OC he wants."
If I'm Harbaugh, I'm like, tell me what you want to do with Tyler Huntley.
All right, man. When we come back, we're going to talk about not just the Super Bowl, but the historic moment of having 2 black starting quarterbacks.
There's a lot of bad stigma about shopping for a used car. Well, come visit us at iCargo Motors. We'll take care of you. We'll ensure that your experience is not only seamless and efficient, but also satisfying. Because at iCargo Motors, we believe that the best form of currency is integrity.
The Super Bowl. We're going to start with Breeze. What type of moment do you think this is for the NFL, the community, us in the black community, you? Like, what type of, like, how big is this deal as far as having 2 starting quarterbacks in the Super Bowl for the first time?
I think people underestimate exactly how big of a deal it is or could be. Because I think we've kind of grown accustomed to an extent to seeing them succeed on an individual level. Like we have, like right now you have Patrick, you have Jalen, you got Lamar, you got what's the boy name? Can't think of it right now. But like we weren't accustomed to seeing like black quarterbacks, over time become more and more successful, more and more prominent in the league. I think a lot of people are not really aware, not really understanding how big a moment it is to have two of them starting in the Super Bowl for the first time. It's dope. It's dope to see.
What about you, DT? How do you feel about it? Especially you and Pops. What Pops said? I would love to know how Pops feel about it, but
man, I don't even think he realized it yet. I don't think I told him, but this goes after 35 years after Doug Williams started and he won his Super Bowl. And to see where we at now, we all know the history of that position where people were saying that we weren't intelligent to function and learn how to be a quarterback in the National Football League. A lot of guys that we never heard of, they had position switched, turned to wide receivers, running backs, and other things like that, never be able to live their dream. And for me, being young as I am, now seeing that the tide is starting to turn with people who look just like me being able to play at a high level. Even like a bigger story for Jalen Hurts, like the dude, for what he went through at Alabama, and they try to say he can't throw. He got benched in the national championship, and then he even stayed after he got benched. They go to Oklahoma, put up great numbers, become a second-round pick, and now he's leading this Philadelphia team, which historically has always had good black quarterbacks in that city. And he's in the Super Bowl himself. And we all know Patrick Mahomes, he's one of the greatest so far at age 27. We get to see these two guys balling and playing the Super Bowl right before our eyes. I think this is going to be a great game. And I'm so excited. I'm so proud I can be at the age where I can say, hey, I remember when first time in my life I seen two African-American quarterbacks play against each other and put on a great show.
Yeah.
Also, I think Jalen is the first Oklahoma quarterback to start a Super Bowl too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So that's also, big for him.
That's a crazy stat. And just thinking about Philadelphia, like they've been like, you can tell me all day long that your team started a black quarterback, right? But did your team come into the season with a starting black quarterback as being number one? Like that's what matters to me. And Philadelphia has been doing that for decades on running. CeeLo, what type of moment do you think this is going to be when those guys trot out there for Super Bowl?
I think it'll be special. I think it represents so much. It goes way beyond football. I think, one of the things that happened, I think earlier this year when Mike Tomlin coached against Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach
Todd Bowles.
And Todd Bowles famously said, "It doesn't matter. We don't think about it." I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't disagree more. Respect to Todd Bowles, obviously, but I think that was just that was not the point. I think the point was that it hasn't happened enough to where it's normal. So we got to make it normal. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just say, "Oh, you guys talk about this too much," and people, because you're going to hear people say that. "Oh, why is this a big deal?" Yeah, we're going to make it a big deal because for 100 years, you try to tell us we were stupid, or you try to tell certain guys to go position switch. 4 years ago, a guy who's now a general manager, who's now in the Hall of Fame, Bill Polian, told Lamar Jackson he should be a running back or a tight end or a wide receiver. That's 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're gonna blow this out. They're gonna be annoyed. They're gonna be like, "Yo, stop talking." Like, yep, here you go. Yep, two black quarterbacks. You're gonna hear it all day, every day. I hope they make people sick with it, because we deserve that, man. You know what I'm saying? We deserve that. So these dudes fall hard. They work their behinds off. They're talented just as much as anybody else. And they're gonna put on a show, and I can't wait. I'm mad that Jalen Hurts freaking plays for the Eagles. I love that dude. I've loved that dude since college. How do you not like him? I mean, seriously, how do you not like this dude? He just plays for the wrong team. You know what I mean? So that's all.
Yeah, man. I think this moment is going to be special. I think for me, the sad thing about it is that my dad passed without being able to see this, right? Something that we should have been seeing. Like you all said, it's 100 or so years with telling faces that look like ours that we wasn't smart enough to play a position in football. Even today, they don't look at us as being IQ quarterbacks. They don't look at us as being pocket quarterbacks. They don't look at us as being able to throw the football. And that type of rhetoric, it trickles down even to our communities where we have to argue with each other that Lamar Jackson can throw a football, right? He did it in college. He threw a football. He's shown in the NFL that he's able to throw a football. But because of this cloud that's over our heads about the black quarterback, it's hard for us to be able to see that and for us to be able to separate the two between quarterback and the black quarterback. And like CeeLo said, it's not normal enough, right? It's not normal enough. This is the first time that's happened. I don't know how many times two black quarterbacks coaches coached against each other in the regular season, not so much even thinking about the playoffs and thinking about the Super Bowl. So what you've heard from these three black established men here is just the truth. Like, it's about us right now. It's about the black community. It's about the black quarterbacks that's going to be starting in a white game. Like, let's just be honest. Like, that's exactly what it is. Even though it's made up of mostly black people, it's still a white man's game, and that's just the truth. And now you have these black quarterbacks in this league that's dominating the league. And at some point, we should be able to see more of this. So for those of you that want to make this the Kelsey Bowl and the Andy Reid Bowl and all that, like, no, this is not the time for that. Like, pick some other year for that. This is the black Super Bowl. Like, this is the black quarterback Super Bowl. And don't tell me let's do them both. No, we can be selfish. We should be able to be selfish. We should not have no questions asked. This is the black quarterback Super Bowl. So props to the Kelsey brothers. Take that somewhere else. Celebrate it somewhere else. Andy Reid, I salute you and all that you've been through, but it's not about you. Like, they gave us these 28 days that's coming up in a couple of days that we have to share that now with other things that now we want to get into. But no, not this time. We're using this. We're taking this. And all of you out there that have black uncles, black dad, black brothers, whatever it is you have, take that moment in when the game starts. Like, you might not want this team to win, might not want to have that team to win, but don't let the mainstream media revert your focus on what's actually happening, the history that's happening. This moment is important. This moment is as important as Doug Williams starting in the first Super Bowl as a black quarterback. Now we have two, and he actually won it. And it's going to be another one of those guys that win it. So make this about the black quarterback Super Bowl. It's not about nothing else. It's not about anything else. And they're going to hate me on Twitter because I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep quote tweeting it, and I'm going to keep tweeting it. So hopefully there will be other people that jumps along. So please don't reply to my tweet say, can it be both? Because the answer is no, and I'm going to call you out for it. So congratulations to Patrick Mahomes. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts, and congratulations to the black community. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you.